So welcome everybody once again. My name is Gurbinder Singh Pun. Some of you know me as GP, some as Gurbinder. I am a board member with ICF Oman, looking after education and programming. And today we have our regular monthly session, which is being led by one of our very own, Ave Peetri. Please welcome Ave for this session today. Uh, Everybody knows Ave. She has been a corporate executive. She's worked for some of the fabulous companies around the world, Coca-Cola for one, and then within USA, Europe, and then she started her own company in Canada. I'm so impressed with the credentials that she brings as a coach, and she's been in Oman since 2016, where she's been working as an executive and team coach. She is the past president of ICF Oman chapter, and she and the company that she coached received an honorary mention on the 2020 ICF Middle East Prism Awards, and that was the first company to do so in Oman. So we're very happy to have Ave with us today after a long break and looking forward to the session. Ave is talking about collective leadership in a changing world. Collective leadership in a changing world. The topic itself triggers off so many thoughts. The world is changing, we are changing. We are in a VUCA world, we are in a volatile world, we are in a complex world. And so today is the day that we are going to get into this discussion and have some question answers at the end. So please help me welcome our speaker for the evening, Ave Peetri. Over to you, Ave.
Thank you. It's so lovely to hear you introduce people, Gurbinder, not just me, but you always do it with a very nice, ending that asks for applause. Lovely. And so nice to be here with my Oman chapter people. I've missed you. It really has been very long since I have presented to you or participated in the events, and that is also part of the changing world, isn't it? That it just hasn't been possible to participate in person anymore. We're just discussing with Gurbinder that maybe, inshallah, when things go better, we can actually meet in person at some point. Without further ado, let me get started. Collective leadership in a changing world. It's a topic that I really am very interested in, and especially these days when things are changing even faster than they used to. It really is something to maybe think about and look into. Well, Gurbinder did just a wonderful introduction to me that I am not going to leave that up here for long. Plus, like you said, most of you know me. I've been around for a while. So I have a little poll here, and you can only use one answer. I would like you to pick one answer and see what you pick for yourself. Okay. All of the above. All right. Need a couple of more people. One more person. Then we have all of them. So mainly coach team leads, also leading teams, and one person does all of the above. So coaching and leading teams. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. So this topic is also very near and dear to your heart, as I can see. Okay, let me share results. I didn't do that. Can you see the results now? Yes? Okay. So did the poll disappear? I'm just Gurbinder, did the poll disappear? Yeah, all good. Okay, perfect. So I'd like you to tell me, what are the challenges that you have in today's world? You can put your answer in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and answer live. It's like always interesting for me to hear different perspectives.
Yeah,
go ahead, Matan.
Yeah, hi. Sorry for the delay. I had to just jump in the end. Well, I feel, related to the topic, when you say collective leadership, just pulling people in at times leaves some of the leaders very insecure about losing their own identity or losing their own flavor. Because every leader brings in certain convictions, every leader brings in certain experience. And sometimes they feel, if I'm collective and if I'm pulling everyone inside, if I'm an inclusive leader, maybe will my convictions fizzle out, or will my niche area, or will my experience not have any value? So this insecurity I've noticed in certain when I'm coaching them, actually.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Absolutely. That's a very relevant point. So there's this insecurity that leaders feel, that you're sensing that if I embrace people more, then who am I and why do they need me? Yeah. Lovely. And in the chat, we have uncertainty as well as one of the challenges, and absolutely, I think these are the big challenges that we have as leaders and as coaches that we are facing as well. Ahmed.
Yes, I want to share something. Yeah.
Yes, please.
It's difficult to wear the hat of the coach full time if you are a leader, because there are some situations you are more expert than your team, and you have short time to make decision in that one. So as a coach, yeah, you can coach full time, but as a leader, I think you need to wear the hat, depends on the situation.
Yeah.
So
that shortage of time and the pressure to make decisions, some of the challenges that you have. Yeah, totally. Thank you for sharing. Would anybody else like to share who's on the call? Yeah, Akil, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Very good afternoon. Thank you, Ave. I think one of the things I remember you and I also talked about is the fact that leaders within an organization, in departments, they operate in silos. So they don't have an appreciation of the system thinking and the need of a system. And they don't even think of the stakeholders who are not in the room. It's this competitive nature that kind of dilutes the whole purpose of the teamwork and collaborative teamwork. One last point is I remember either Peter Hawkins or David Clutterbuck saying that you might have 5 strong individuals, but not in a team, but not a high-performing team, because it's the connections between these individuals that leaders need to kind of tap on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that on. Thank you for bringing that out. Yeah, just because you have top performers working with you doesn't mean they make a high-performing team. Thank you. Suhail, go ahead.
Yes, Avi and everybody, thank you for this opportunity and good to see you. My answer to this question would be that we always take the world as granted, and we don't notice that we should be able to adapt to change. So adaptation to change and managing that change is one of the biggest obstacle I see everybody is facing in today's world.
Absolutely. You are so spot on. The world is forcing us to change much faster than we want to. And much faster than we are used to as well.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So excellent. I think we're going to talk about those challenges and the collective leadership today. So that would be lovely. Thank you so much for starting us off with the discussions.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So just to give you a little bit of statistics, background, whatever you want to call that, the World Economic Forum in 2020 said that already 84% of employers are set to rapidly digitalize working processes. So what that means that potentially 44% of the workforce will be operating remotely. So that is a very serious number here. And obviously this is written in 2020. So that pandemic wasn't as long-term as it has been by now. So this is another change that we are facing and that we have to get used to as team leaders to lead teams that are working remotely. And another one of those things that, one thing is productivity, but the other one is well-being of the employees. So as a leader, you also need to think about how can you create a sense of community, connection, and belonging among employees so that they feel that they are part of the team, even though they are sitting at home or wherever they're sitting in their home office and working with you. So there's another change and challenge that obviously with the pandemic we've been facing is the feeling of loneliness and feeling cut off from family and colleagues, and colleagues sometimes are like family. I definitely feel this way about coaches. I feel like coaches are my second family. And it's lovely to spend more time with coaches. So these are some of the challenges that I've collected previously. Some of you mentioned these. So feeling isolated and unable to get the message across that to the people, overworked and under pressure to perform. This hasn't changed so much. I think this is sort of like goes with the job description of the team leader. But at the same time, if we add the pandemic pressure on top of it, then it can actually become quite dangerous to any individual. And another thing is the dilemma between results versus relationships. Especially when I'm coaching Omani leaders in Oman, relationships are very important. And how do you pressure people for results when you need to also maintain a good relationship with the people? How to motivate people? Another challenge, especially these days where lots of people are feeling down and isolated. What do you do as a team lead? Organizational hierarchy very often gets on the way. Sometimes the team leader has the best plans, but the rest of the organization thinks differently. You shouldn't be taking care of your team like this, even though you know that this is what will help you. And how to manage your boss or how to manage your boss's boss. I'm sure those of you who coach team leaders, you hear that all the time, that this is also one of the challenges. And very often what comes across, and some of you mentioned that as well, that team leaders somehow end up believing that they are the only one who can fix things, or as if they have the responsibility to fix things. Okay. And now, you know, thanks for your contributions. Next time I can add some more challenges that you mentioned already to the list here as well. So that begs a question, you know, if we're expecting our team leaders to be superheroes, to be able to handle all the pressure, motivate people, fix everything, are we really setting them up for failure? Are we really setting them up to thinking that they are or have to be superheroes? Somebody who can fix everything and somebody who has the magic that can turn things around. So that begs the question, isn't it? But obviously, we know that we're all human beings and the people we coach are also human beings. Nobody has any secret weapons out there. And why I chose this picture was because of the look of in the eyes of that man here. Because he's ready to take on the fight. And then you look at his eyes and then you see that this really longing that, do I have to do this? I don't really want to. This is the pressure that our heroes, our leaders are under, that we can see very often as coaches. So that begs another question. What is it that we want from our leaders? Okay. Being leaders ourselves or being led by somebody, do we want them to be superheroes? Larger than life, leading us, sort of, in English there's a saying like behind God's back. That's why I picked that picture. So do we want our leaders to be superhuman beings? Or do we want them to be just a little bit different responsibilities, but just like one of us? And knowing that they are part of our connections and part of our system, and that we can rely on them for certain things, and other things we have to take care of ourselves. There is another thing that has come out, some research by Gallup, and that's obviously done post-pandemic. And they did a review as to what is motivating people these days. And as you can see, the list is vastly different. People are no longer motivated by their paycheck. What they really want to feel is that by working there, they're actually serving a purpose. And that is not just any purpose, but that's a purpose that is aligned with what they want to create in this world. It's no longer okay just to be satisfied with your work. I mean, if I even take myself as an example, I had a great corporate job. I had lovely colleagues, excellent team, wonderful job conditions. Everything was really good. So I had a good job. And I wanted something else. I felt like I wasn't developing anymore. I felt like I need to do something different, which is why I became a coach. So I didn't have to wait for the pandemic for me to find out that satisfaction is not the only one. I was already before pandemic, I knew that my development is important for me. And probably some others of you here are feeling the same way. Another change, which we're going to talk about, obviously, which is relevant to our topic today, is instead of being the boss, the know-it-all, the fix-it-all, who's going to take care of things, what people actually want is a coach leader. And as you know, coaches don't have answers. Coaches coach the answer out of their team. So it's good to know that actually that's what motivates people these days. And obviously, like with any statistics or any surveys, there are always exceptions, but this is what majority of people think these days. And instead of the annual review, and I know there are quite a few companies in Oman who still have the bell curve system, and I don't think that was ever motivating for people unless they got the excellent score out of their bell curve. But really, people prefer that their boss will come and talk to them and have more of a coaching conversation rather than, this is what you did this year, and this is how you will be remunerated. And also, I think the coaches here, you know very well that people come and ask you, okay, so when we start coaching, does it mean we're going to work on my weaknesses? Right? So that's what people come and ask you. And then you say, no, we're going to work with your strength. And they're like, what use is that? But the good news is that actually people want to work with the strength. And you probably find the same thing, that once you start working with the strength, they're like, oh, this coaching thing, that's a good stuff. It actually helps me get somewhere without having these excruciating conversations about my weaknesses. Because lots of people rather have a root canal than talk about their weaknesses. And another thing, especially a lot of people realized when they were sitting in lockdown, when previously the job was all important to them, now they realize that they actually want a life. And life is more important to them. The fact that they get to lead the life the way they want to. And even though during pandemic, maybe people didn't switch jobs, then now that things are sort of looking up a little bit, then people are starting to look for a job that would fit with their life. Previously, they used to adopt their life to the job. I know some of you are coaching people like that. Yeah. So what is this collective leadership? And how is it relating to all of these things that I'm talking about here? And I'm going to use a definition by Monica Brinkerhoff, Albert Marietta, and Cassandra O'Neill. They defined already this in 2015. So this is how Kiel was referring to the system. Like lots of people are working in silos. Collective leadership is actually working bigger than a team. It's working as a system, taking into account everything that goes on beyond the team, and also taking into account what is coming in the future. So it is, and it is also a felt thing. People who are in a team that has the collective leadership, they feel it, and they feel like they have contributed, because they can say that we have done this ourselves. It's not my team leader did it, or there's like one hero on the team who is the expert who did it, but we really worked together and we made it happen as a team working with the system. So what is different between hero-based leadership, as I call it, and collective leadership? Hero-based leadership, or sort of traditional leadership, is dependence on the leader. Leader knows it all. Only the leader makes decisions. Motivated by carrot and stick structure. So you are really, you either get a bonus or you have to sit and listen to your weaknesses. Then communication and decision making is top down in hero-based leadership. So you have to wait for the leader to deliberate and come back with a decision. Leader is also the one with the connections. If you need something, you need to go to the leader and ask, who can you connect me to? Who can help me with that? And also, one of the things that's in hero-based leadership is belief that I have to be like the leader to be successful. I'm sure some of you have clients who come to you and say, I have to become an extrovert in order to be successful. Yeah, I see Matan is nodding, nodding your head there. Yes, exactly. And you know very well that this is not about becoming somebody else. So this really is the biggest relief of being a leader in a collective leadership, is that you can actually be who you are and be successful. That it's enough for you to be who you are. And the connections are not handled by team leader only, but the connections, team members are talking to each other, they are organizing their own things, everything is going on, and people are creating together, they are addressing the problem rather than buying into the solution. The leader doesn't have to have this, these leaders who have to sell their solution to the team. And then there is always somebody who doesn't like it. And instead of trying to understand why, they say, no, but we're going to do this. I believe in this. Let's go with this. It sounds familiar, I'm sure to many of you. And the motivation comes from, like we said, it's about the purpose. You feel like you're contributing. You feel like you're doing something important. And you can actually make things happen. So that's where the motivation is coming from. And the responsibility is not only on the leader, but it is really also on every team member. They all feel responsible. So let me stop here. Is that something that you imagined as collective leadership being? Are there any new thoughts for you, or is that something that you've been known for a long time?
I would like to share something. Yeah.
Yes, please, Ahmed.
Just it crossed my mind from your talking. Yeah. Maybe at the beginning I said, when I know everything, I have to make a decision about all, because I have short time. But maybe I can think it or rethink about it. Maybe I'll present it to the team and look for better idea.
Yeah.
Just now, this is I pick up from your talking.
Excellent. Lovely. I like it. Yeah. Matan.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ave. Wonderful. The way you explained it was really fantastic. One area I was just thinking, this is my view and my opinion about collective leadership, is to emphasize on the importance of combining everyone's views and ideas, or valuing everyone's contributions. I feel, that's, in my view, that's one of the elements of collective leadership, is to ensure that all the different ideas and the different approaches or the different way of doing things are valued, honored, and of course, whether it's executed or not, that is has to do with the system that you're talking about, that it is a system, but at least everyone should feel that my ideas are respected and my views are valued. So that's something that was in my mind, actually.
Absolutely. You're so right, Matan, there. With collective leadership, it is everybody feels like their ideas are valued. It doesn't mean everybody's ideas are implemented, because because it's not possible to implement everybody's ideas, but at least that the ideas are heard, they are on the table, and then collectively the decision is made. What idea are we going to implement now? Yeah, yeah. Yes, GP.
I was just wondering that on the other side of collective leadership, would collective leadership cause a delay in decision making?
Yeah, it could be. It's sort of, especially in the beginning, I would imagine, when people are still used to somebody to making a decision. But once people have more practice and they have the processes, they have practiced the processes much better, then the decision making doesn't have to take any longer. It's like setting up anything else. And obviously, it's not about consensus leadership either. It's about really collective, that even though I don't agree with this, but I'm going to go with that because this is the decision that the team has embraced, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. There are always things that, the perfect world doesn't exist. So there are always things that we need to learn and we need to think about when we're adopting a new system or a new viewpoint. Yeah. Okay. So let me move on a little bit. I want to share this quote by Brené Brown, because we discussed that one of the things that people are really missing is belonging to a community. And there are two parts of belonging. One is the physical contact with people that may help us feel that we belong. But the other part of it is how we are belonging, which is what Brené Brown is talking about. So we want to belong. So we try to belong by trying to fit in and seeking approval. But they don't actually give us the belonging. But instead, that actually creates barriers to belonging. Because we have to be somebody else, or, like we discussed, like, do I have to be an extrovert in order to be a leader, in order to be successful? So there is this part of allowing collective leadership, like we discussed on the previous slide. In a collective leadership, you can actually be honored for yourself, that you're authentic, you're imperfect, and people know. And this way, we can truly feel that we belong. And that is also based on really lots of research. As you know, Brené Brown is doing a lot of research usually. Thank you, Akil. I think it is a very powerful statement to actually understand it deeply like this and to be able to say it so lovely and so nicely. Yeah. So let's have another discussion round. Why collective leadership? What are the benefits here?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Matan.
Yes. Well, in my view, I really feel, just connecting to the previous powerful, article that we just saw. When I feel that I am wanted, or when I feel I am needed somewhere, and when there's a sense of belonging, then the ownership increases. I start taking ownership, and that actually motivates me to not hold back any of my any of my competencies or any of my I don't resist anymore. I'm really willing to give my full best, to the success of the team. So I really feel in collective leadership, we are able to achieve that sort of a synergy, a high level of synergy, which can produce immense results. So that's my view, actually.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Absolutely. And I would imagine that not only are you willing to give your best, but I'm also thinking that maybe you're even willing to give your 110%. So that, even if you don't know something, you're willing to go and figure it out for the team. Yeah. Yeah, that's a powerful statement, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. I see Akil. Yes, go ahead, Akil.
Yeah, I've got a couple of thoughts here, Avi, and I'd like to share with you and the rest as well.
Yeah.
It's really intriguing as you were, explaining the term of collective leadership. Now I was kind of thinking, has collective leadership as a practice been in place before the term was coined? Similar to emotional intelligence as well. What Daniel Goleman has done was he repackaged, certain concepts and produced them into emotional intelligence. Why collective leadership? I think we as humans never cease to learn from the universe. The universe operates in a system, right? And we appreciate, we are in an appreciative inquiry, approach, trying to learn how the universe fits together in a systemic approach. And thus, none of us is as smart as all of us. I loved the statement where you said, probably an outcome of collective leadership is when people say, we did it ourselves. It's breaking the silos. I have been in a serious conversation with some top officials in the government speaking about 2040 vision. And I have been, emphasizing on the need of team coaching, operating in a systemic approach. If Ministry of Commerce is introducing certain legislations that Ministry of Labor is kind of in conflict with, then where are we going with the economy? Where is 2040 going to go? I just wanted to share these kind of, thoughts, but thank you for the presentation. We love that.
Thank you, Akil, and thanks for your thoughts, and also for the work you're doing with the Omani government. I think it's really important, because this really collective leadership, I do believe it existed before the term was coined. It has come from research. This term has come from research. They had to define it somehow. Why are some teams so successful? So I'm sure these teams exist right now. And yes, team coaching can help foster team collective leadership. Absolutely. Yeah. Ahmed, yeah.
Again, some ideas. Really, this is informative presentations and session. It came to my mind also, we will not have one leader. We will have more than one leader, even if they don't have the title. When we have collective leadership. So everyone can lead from where are they. So we have no issue in that one. So we cannot depend on one person. We will create a system, but this is not just a system. System will be fit for all.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Absolutely. Yes, everybody is a leader. And in a way, no one person can know it all. We know that. And yet sometimes we want our leaders to be the know-it-alls. But it will be really easier if we allow everybody to lead and use everybody's talents. Yeah. GP.
Yeah, I was wondering what would be some of the skills that we need to, and competencies that we would need to develop in the teams to be more effective in collective leadership.
Yeah. I have sort of approached from a slightly different perspective, and I'm going to tie it into what Ahmed said. Everybody's a leader. So some of the tips that I was going to share with you, what can you do to cultivate collective leadership? So it's not necessarily in a team, but it is as an individual, whether a leader or a coach. I mean, and coaches are leaders as well. So one of the things is to reflect on your biases. So what could be the biases that could get on the way from giving up this heroic leadership need? I think Matan mentioned them in the beginning. It's like the feeling as if you have to be the know-it-all. Sohail, yeah, go ahead, Sohail.
Yes, I don't know my camera. What is it now? And so my comment would be here is once we talk about collective leadership is talking about the cohesion between leaders who are making the future for everybody. To what extent the change and the adaptations, if those leaders work together, or if each one of them has its own way, and the impact you could do on the communities.
Yeah. And the impact it could do on the communities, absolutely. If we have all these different leadership skills developed. Did I understand your comment?
Yes, because you might
Yes.
have leaders who are not aligned on the goal that serves everybody.
Yes.
And that goal that could bring goodwill for everyone. So if those leaders are not cohesive together and working together, how much I would not imagine how much it would be the disaster
I
on
absolutely.
people. Yeah.
And absolutely, Sohail. I don't think I get to cover that today, but that would be one of the first things that when you go in as a team coach, you will look at the purpose and the goals that the team has. Because yes, if you have every leader going in different direction, you don't have collective leadership. You just have a team of individual leaders trying to do their own thing. So yes, absolutely. One of the things that is absolutely necessary is knowing what is the purpose that we have as a team. Yeah. And I'm noticing in the chat, people have reflected on some of the biases, competition, ego, I know better than everyone are some of the biases, absolutely. Some limiting beliefs. Also probably some ideas that there has to be one leader who decides. That could be a bias, isn't it? Yeah. And another thing, what you can do to cultivate collective leadership within you and within your team is think about your leadership style. What have you been suppressing? Where are you not being authentically yourself? What do you think you have to hide in order to be the ideal leader? Yeah.
It's a very good question.
Thank you. Something to take away, to reflect on.
Yes.
Yeah. Another another sort of related is, what can you uniquely contribute to the team? And it's not always your job description.
Mhm.
Maybe there is something that only you uniquely are capable of, and the team needs it. It could be your kind heart. It could be your ability to entertain people. It could be your ability to be the shoulder that people come to cry on. That could
Maybe
also
it
be.
could.
Go ahead, Sahel.
Yeah, that could be also accepting other people's and accepting the differences they have. That would have a very big impact.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Not just what can you uniquely contribute, but also appreciate the other's unique contribution. Yeah. Yeah. Another thing, what talents are your team members bringing to the team, which is sort of what you said, Sohail, is maybe some people are shy. They have been told they are not good at that at some point, and you can see them naturally doing it. You know, people who say, oh no, I'm not good at math. And then actually they are very good at math. They might be better at math than anybody else on the team.
Yes, of course.
So what are the talents that your team members are bringing?
Yeah. Besides, sometimes we don't give enough space for others to grow. You know, once you limit the space, people will not show their talents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We put people in a box,
Yeah.
and then they don't feel free to express their talents. Yeah. And another reflection, which is a long-term reflection, is what is bigger than this team you are leading, and what is required from this team in order to meet the challenges.
Yes. Also, maybe Avi, we could consider challenging the status quo. Sometimes, if we accept the higher leadership or the higher authorities' opinion, and you don't challenge the status quo, nothing will change in teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is the status quo a sign of?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in these days, if you are happy to just keep going as is, that means you have already lost the game, haven't you?
Yes. And you're behind.
You're behind. Yeah. I listened to a speaker at the conference who was saying that last century, the 20th century, it was average lifetime of a company was 75 years. So that usually companies lasted that long. Now, in the 2020s, the average lifetime of a company is 6 years.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And she had also done her PhD in change and change in the companies. And she said that if companies do not transform themselves in every 3.5 years, then they can very easily be already dead in 6. And that the same applies to you as a leader. What is the next transformation you need to make as a leader?
Very good question.
Because you don't want to be obsolete. Yeah. Okay. That was actually it from me on collective leadership. I'm hoping I was able to light some minds and bring some new ideas from you. And if you want some homework for yourself, then put in your calendar a date 2 weeks from now and ask, put it in your calendar saying, what am I going to transform about myself? And put that there every 6 weeks. So it's like a repetitive calendar. Every 6 weeks, it's going to ask you, what am I going to transform about myself? Any questions, any thoughts that you have that you'd like to share?
Well, one thing which I'm kind of getting aware of is this beautiful conversation we are having today. It's kind of a conversation where we need a different level of skills or being who we are. I think we will have to shed some of our covers, so to say, being more vulnerable in a collective leadership will perhaps be one of the key requirements. As you rightly said, you cannot hide. Uh, Compassion will have to come up immensely for the
Yeah.
other fellow team members or other leaders. And I think if and this is a conversation which actually is leading towards a lot of you know boundaries will have to go off, and so it's kind of a very interesting place to go. And I think the word you used was very true. Transformation. This will require me as a leader to be really transformed, and why 6 weeks? I guess every 6 days, perhaps, because this is immense uphill kind of a walk, but a beautiful place to go. So I'm really inspired by this conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you, GP. Yeah, Matan.
Thank you, Ave. As Gurbinder sir rightly mentioned, this has been a very collective discussion already. I think you demonstrated to us how to do a collective presentation. So in that way, it was fantastic. For me, I remember one of my mentors telling me that if I come to your team meeting, I should be confused about who the leader is. That is the yardstick, or that is the measurement of an effective team. So I feel that matches. And those days, this terminology wasn't there. Like what Akhil mentioned, the terminology of collective leadership wasn't there. But then he said he used it for an effective team. If the team has to be effective and if everyone should play their part, then people should be wondering who's the leader, because everyone behaves like a leader.
Everybody's a leader. That's a lovely point. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. CL is behind iPhone Randa. So thank you for your nice thoughts that you wrote down the points. I don't know who is CL. I probably should know, but I don't. How to cultivate CL. Okay, I thought that it's your initials. Gotcha. Yeah. Anybody else would like to? Ahmed?
Yes. Is there any books will help in this regard? You advise us to read it, or?
What I really recommend reading is Peter Hawkins and Eve Turner. They wrote the book on leading teams, leadership teams or something like that. I have it somewhere, but I can't remember exactly the name. But if you look up Eve Turner and Peter Hawkins, I think they are really going into from the coach perspective as well. and they are talking about the background about the collective leadership. So it's not specifically about collective leadership, it's really about leading teams.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
No, thank you, Avi. Thank you, everybody who organized this. It's very good we see you again. And I hope it will continue having you in different sessions.
Thank you, Suhail, and thank you, and good luck with your leadership. I know you're no longer in Muscat, as I understand. Yeah. Yeah. It's good to see you, and thanks everyone. I think.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So I think everybody had a good time today. We enjoyed this intense conversation, put so simply, so lightly, and engaging everybody. So thank you, Ave. We are so grateful from ICF Oman chapter that you could join us once again. And as we were discussing before the session, we are looking forward to in-person get-together soon. Inshallah, given the uh, COVID things are becoming better, we are all vaccinated. So let's look forward to meeting in person soon on the ICF Oman events. Those of you who are in Oman, and if you are outside of the country, then virtual sessions will continue for sure. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and have a good evening. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me, and lovely to see you, everyone. Thanks for your contributions today. It's excellent to discuss with my community here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.